Hey everyone, what's going on? It's me, John D. Villarreal, here with Paul F. Villarreal. Just trying to get this thing going on here. Excuse me. And we're going to try to be live on LinkedIn at the same time. We're hoping that works. We'll see. We'll see how that works out here. I have to kind of monitor it. Why I believe now this is going to be a little bit of a short show. I've got, as you can see, I'm probably a little bit sick. It's that time of year. Little kiddo got sick. Wife's a doctor. She's out there and doing her thing. And I've got sickness from multiple vectors coming in here, but I had to do a show here. First of all, I want to thank everyone for the congrats on LinkedIn and stuff like that. And lots going on, a lot we need to talk about. I want to talk about, there's a couple of big things that we want to talk about. I want to talk about, number one, this meeting with that Trump, and we are going to be live on LinkedIn here in a second. So I'll just re-up it. So hey, everybody, what's going on LinkedIn? It's me, John D. Villarreal. We're talking about why Trump agreeing to interview with Morning Joe was brilliant. I think this was absolutely brilliant. Now, there's a lot of criticism, and there's a lot of people freaking out about this, in my opinion. But I think this was, I'm not going to say Trump was playing four-dimensional chess, but I'm telling you, this was a smart move at a critical time. People in this quick news cycle, they sort of forget about what happens. They sort of forget about what the situation was yesterday. Things look very different 2020, when you look in hindsight. Paul, agree or disagree that this move by Trump was brilliant? And then I want to hear from Mark Halper and Sean Spicer and some of those people. We're going to take a look at some articles, and we'll also take your comments out there as well. What's your take on this, Paul?
Yeah, look, I thought it was a great move. I thought it was the right move. And I know there are a lot of people on our side on the right who didn't like the move and felt like, why are you granting an audience to these people who have been so negative about you before and so many demeaning things? Look, my take is that President Trump has been friends with both of those two, particularly Joe Scarborough, for a long time. And I think with those guys, what both sides understand, Trump totally understands, is it's a business. The business that Mika and Joe are in are talking to people that are basically resistance type people on the left. That's their model. But the other part of their model, what Trump also gets, is access. They need to have access to people in power. And of course, President Trump just won the election. So they want in. That's the thing that Mika and Joe have more so, I think, than other people on MSNBC. That's part of their brand. And so we'll talk about it more, but I thought it was a great strategy. President Trump is showing that he is not about petty revenge. He said in a statement to Fox News about the meeting, look, we want to bring all the media in. We need that. I think that the media can help kind of inform and kind of heal America from all the division. And so I think it's a good strategic move. And I think it is a good, kind of like President Trump reaching higher moral ground by doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he definitely got the higher moral ground by doing it. I think that there's a lot to be learned there. The thing of it is yes, there's the business aspect of it, the entertainment aspect of it. How much is real, how much is kayfabe, all that type of stuff. But let's just take everything totally surface level, 100% real, political stuff like that, just political analysis. From a political analysis standpoint, I think it was brilliant. Not everybody thinks that. And that's why I wanted, let's talk to Sean Spicer. Let's not talk to him. Let's hear from Sean Spicer on Mount Halpern's show on Two-Way. Very good show here. Let's see what Sean Spicer has, and I'm going to be jumping around here a little bit. Halpern sets it up. He'll show the clip. I'm not going to show the clip, maybe just a teeny bit, and then we'll just get right to Spicer. Here we go.
The talk of the world this morning
is
something that happened on MSNBC
November 18th,
at 6 o'clock. Let's listen.
Over the past week, Joe and I have heard from so many people, from political leaders to regular citizens, deeply dismayed by several of President-elect Trump's cabinet selections. And they are scared. Last Thursday, we expressed our own concerns on this broadcast and even said we would appreciate the opportunity to speak with the president-elect himself. On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump.
Oh, baby. Yeah. What happened to resist? Resist is over. What I love, I mean, I don't want to jump the whole show because I have so much I can say right now. It's so amazing. I mean, that right there, Paul, says it all. I mean, you just can feel the melting of some of the fantasies of some of the libs out there, and all that. You know, what happened to fascism, authoritarianism? What happened to the 1940s rally? What happened to all that type of stuff? Now, not everybody thinks this was a good thing. Okay, so Sean Spicer's got some strong comments, and let's go to those right now.
Friends,
Sean Spicer, former press secretary for President Trump, big time Republican, used to be with the one of the top dudes in the RNC with Reince Priebus. Here we go.
I'll say for those who don't know, Sean
does not like it.
What will MAGA think about this, and why did Trump do it?
I think MAGA will be kind of split the same way the left is. There are some people who say, "Hey, Trump gets to do what Trump gets to do." Here's my problem with this. When you ended the clip, Joe says afterwards, we told him we opposed him on this. We opposed him on that.
Right.
We opposed him on this.
Yeah.
If they wanted to come down and say, "Hey, Mr. President, we bashed you. We said you were wrong on all these issues and we were wrong, and you have the right now."
Time out. I'm going to let him. Sean, who cares? Like, you're telling me right now you don't get it. But this is the guttural. To me, this is the knee-jerk reaction of some conservatives, but it's also the knee-jerk reaction, Paul, to an insider. Okay, and I'm going to get to that in a second. Let's hear just the rest of this clip, and I want you to come in, and I'm going to come in. All right. So here we go.
To govern, and we'd like to open up communications. First of all, I still say get in the back of the line. There are people who put up yard signs. There are people who made phone calls. There are people who fought hard for President Trump. Okay,
so that's all the who's in line, political favors, hierarchy of stuff like that. You know, our side won, your side lost. Again, this is an insider thought process. In my opinion, I'm no distant Sean Spicer. Sean Spicer's great shows, been great, has done a lot of good things out there. No doubt about it. I'm not critiquing. And listen, I get things wrong all the time. All right. And this is maybe I'm wrong. Right. But this is my opinion. Right. So I'm not, Sean's been great, is a great voice out there. I'm not dissing Sean Spicer. I'm dissing this analysis. Let's go.
To shake his hand first, not these people who spent.
It's not about shaking hands. You're missing it, Sean.
7 years, as Mika said, trashing the guy, lying about him, defaming him, right? So you go to the back of the line before you get to jump it and come up to Mar-a-Lago and shake his hand. But it wasn't that. Joe said we told him to his face that he was still wrong. We disagreed with him. So this was a pure transactional ratings play. This was Joe Scarborough realizing that his ratings are down 40%, 49%. Comcast wants to spin them off and them worried about whether or not they're going to continue.
Yeah, buddy. That's perfect. This is a bitter version of Mitt Romney V2. Okay. And I'm going to get to that. I mean, Trump knows what he's doing. Like, you can't even see the move, Spicer.
Continue to afford their place on wherever it is, Nantucket, Palm Beach, all those places. This was a pure transactional play. And there's no one that is more transactional in the world than Joe Scarborough. So,
Paul, your comments.
But I understand what Sean is saying, and I think that he's expressing the feelings of a lot of people in MAGA, just as Halpern said, and teed up to say. As we said, and as we will explore, this is about co-opting your opponents and about co-opting their media terrain so that you can push your agenda and win over new converts. Maybe people who won't come to your side, but at least will hear what you have to say, maybe give you a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt. This is about working the margins. And that's why President Trump is intelligent to do this. He knows how these guys feel. He understands where they're coming from, what they've done, what they've said. But he's thinking about a larger term strategic goal, which is, how do I move the needle 5% more in my favor on the left side of the ideological spectrum? By going to Mika and Joe, maybe you can accomplish that. That's how I think smart, intelligent, future planning leaders look at things. And we know that President Trump is that.
Look, this is what I'm talking about right now. This is how I look at it. And I'll show you some clips. I'll show you some magazine articles here. We're going to hear from some more stuff. Now, I've got a lot of stuff to talk about Elon Musk too. Probably going to make that a separate show, maybe tomorrow. A lot of people freaking out on Elon, like, oh, he's hanging out with Elon all the time, his best buddies. When's Elon going to leave? All the leaking. Forget about that. That's more silliness. Put yourself back in that position. Over the weekend, Sunday shows and before, everyone, they announced Matt Gaetz. He's not getting through. They got 30 votes against him. Tulsi Gabbard, all these different picks, right? RFK Jr., you had the volume of resistance. We can't let these picks go in there. We've got to put Mike Rogers in FBI. All this type of stuff that was going on, in my opinion. And then what happens? The number one show, in my opinion, maybe not, one of the top insider shows, weekday, forget about the Sunday shows, weekday, 6 a.m., boom, they come out with that with Mika and Joe, and they say, guess what? We told, we may have said all these bad things about Trump. We may have said this. We just met with him. We just interviewed him. That crushes the libs, okay? And not just about crushing the libs, it crushes their narrative. How can this guy be the worst person in the world? How can he be so authoritarian? How can he be a threat to democracy? How can he be, America's on the ballot? All this type of stuff. His picks are so extreme, and you just met with him. You just met with them. As soon as he says, come on down, you came on down. And my dad said that, you need to meet with different leaders. Why didn't you? That didn't apply the last 7 years, right? I mean, and if don't take my word for it, and I've even read these. I mean, Paul, I've done almost no show prep here. This literally took me under 5 minutes and probably like a couple minutes to pull this stuff up, right? So we're going to read this at the same time. Here we go. You've got Yahoo News here. Let's see it. Let's see it live, players. Let's see it live, players here. Morning Joe suffers ratings nosedive after met at Mar-a-Lago. Okay, this is huge. And I was seeing different things going on out there. Okay, during Monday's show, they had revealed they traveled to Mar-a-Lago to restart. I just love it, dude. Restart communications with President-elect Trump before he takes office. Their first face-to-face meeting had been highly critical of Trump. And so their shock announcement was met with criticism from former MSNBC colleagues, media pundits, and political figures. Now, remember, this is in an environment where the LA Times publisher has just, clean house over there, said they need more conservatives. They say they need more conservatives on CNN. There's rumblings over there, on MSNBC. There's been, people are there's having issues inside with colleagues. NPR has been under a microscope. There's a lot of different heat out there. It's a new day, players. It's a new day. So for Trump to be able, when he just announces all these picks that some see as controversial, others see as a breath of fresh air, as a chance for real reform, as the one person said, someone put that up to the doctor, like, there's a 0% chance of reform. We need reform, a 0% chance with Kamala Harris. There's like a 1% chance with Trump with some of these picks. Now, all of a sudden, before the resist can get going, boom, he co-ops them, takes them down there. They make that announcement. And a lot of people say this seems transactional. Mika and Joe seem like they're sellouts. This is hilarious, dude. And I've seen it. I've seen it on Facebook. I don't want to name names. Some of these people, connections and friends of mine, whatever. I'm not like super close friends, but like Facebook friends, right? So, yeah. And it's like, dude, you're talking ratings. No, you're talking about, they are disheveled. There is no serious bench on the Democratic side. So you can't beat something with nothing, dude. They've fallen 17% right here. Okay. And plummeted at 38% in the demo, 25 to 54. And you look at that right there. Is that a hostage tape? I mean, I'm telling you, this, Paul, was devastating to resist. This was devastating to the whole narrative of resist. Because if you can talk to someone, I guess we don't need to resist them. This is great. But when people were talking about that Trump's, picks were DOA on Capitol Hill, they came out with this, and all of a sudden, this just puts a different spin on it. Agree or disagree, Paul?
I definitely agree. Look, we're already starting to see. We saw across the sports world, everybody doing the Trump dance all over the place. Now we've seen different writers trying to kind of push back against that. We're seeing this kind of governor's alliance of resistance and all. But if you go and talk to an athlete and say, why did you do the Trump dance? Then, they can say to you, well, why did Morning Joe go meet with Trump?
Right.
I mean, that's the thing is, this helps to push back on the whole bad guy Trump thing. There's no question. And let me say this: just as Trump is playing the long game with this in terms of kind of moving the Overton window, that kind of ideological terrain narrative here. Also, I think Morning Joe is playing the long game. Yeah, okay, we're going to take a hit in our ratings right now. What about 6 months from now when Trump's in office? Nobody else on MSNBC gets to even be anywhere near him, and we're talking to him.
100%.
That's what we're talking about here. Look, Mika and Joe, they're not my cup of tea.
No.
I'm not watching them or anything like that, but they're intelligent. Joe was of course, was in office himself. They're perhaps a little cagier or savvier than some of the other people on that network. They understand where this is going.
Yeah.
And so it's like, look, is it unfair? Like what Sean Spicer is saying, do they deserve to be at the back of the line behind some people who worked very hard for President Trump? Absolutely. However, those people don't have a show on MSNBC, and Mika and Joe do. And so because that's a situation, because they approached President Trump, and President Trump is intelligent enough to understand how he can work this, he's going to try to see what he can do with it. But what he said to Fox is, look, I'm going to give people a couple of chances, but if I give them the fourth chance, if they blow it, then well, bye-bye. So this is a preliminary agreement. We're going to see how it goes. But I like what President Trump is doing with this. And he already has converted. He already has his base solidly behind him. Let's see if we can win over some other people, or at least expose them to our message. Because on places like MSNBC, you don't hear any of that. And maybe Morning Joe can tell people of that audience a little bit more of what Trump's actual story is, rather than this distorted version of it.
The main, okay, so I'm going to hit my analysis here in a second. I'm just setting things up. The Hill, Scarborough has reaction, and this is pure Scarborough. Joe Scarborough, in my opinion, Joe Scarborough, not alleged anything. Joe Scarborough, host of MSNBC's Morning Joe, brushed aside blister. This is The Hill. This is by Dominic Mastrolango. I hope I pronounced that right. Sorry if I didn't. 11/8/19/2024, 10:16 a.m. And again, I'm working off some sickness here, so I'm definitely a little bit askew. Joe Scarborough, host of MSNBC's Morning Joe, brushed aside blistering criticism he and co-host and wife Mika Brzezinski are facing for a meeting they had with President Trump last week. Quote, I will say, ... First of all, thank you to everyone who was so kind last night, Scarborough said in the morning talk program Tuesday. Yesterday, I saw for the first time what a massive disconnect there is between social media and the real world. I love the condescension. I love it. I love the condescension, the snobbery, and stuff like that. That is quintessential Scarborough right now. Hey, we've seen a good audience here from YouTube. Appreciate you right there. Seeing some people here coming in from Rumble. Appreciate that. And there may be some people trying to promote some stuff. We're not doing that. If you have some comments specifically on the show, what we're talking about, we'll and keep them clean. Obviously, we'll put those on. Promotional stuff we're not going to do. So here's the thing. So I basically had comments. And, they were, my analysis of this, I put it up and hopefully you think they're appropriate, Paul. Let's see what of course they should be, but Scarborough here. And I've met Scarborough. I've actually been on the show very briefly, one of the people in the crowd type of thing, nothing major. I met Willie Geist and all that type of stuff, but, Matt, I'm sure, whatever like that. I mean, no, who cares? But anyway. John, and I'm not a hater. He's been, listen, media-wise, been very successful. The show's been very successful, built on the success of Don Imus. I think they, in that show, pushed it even farther. You got to respect the game, okay? Not my, type of thing, a cup of tea, whatever like that, but I'm not a hater, okay? So here's what I said. in my opinion, when you make your whole show about quote unquote insider access, and that's what goes with what you said, Paul, but also potentially style yourself as morally superior and or smarter than the other side, and your network seems pretty left wing and positive. First of all, it's all my personal opinion. I'm not alleging anything. These are public figures, etc. Reserve the right to revise and extend, etc., etc. If I make a mistake, I apologize. Seems pretty left wing and possibly given a hyperbolic invective occasionally. You may just come off as not much more than a toady, just a toady to power when Trump wins the election. And you may seem to do a quick 180-degree turn as you might need to maintain access, audience, and some level of authority, credibility, lest the small audience you have left not be able to distinguish between your show and the thousands of liberal screaming videos all alone in their house or cars when Trump won the election again. Now, here's the thing. I'm not being a punk. I'm not trying to own the libs or anything like that. And, you know, I mean, obviously I'm writing stuff in here and, you know, on Twitter and stuff like that. First of all, again, all is my own personal opinion, paraphrase for entertainment purposes only, parody purposes only, public figures, everything like that. What I'm saying, Paul, and I'll read the rest of it here in a second, but I'll bring you in on this, is look, CNBC has a small audience, but they have a powerful audience because they have movers and shakers that watch that show, and it's a great advertising audience. I mean, you literally have executive CEOs, you know, Wall Street, you have, you know, politicians, you have movers and shakers watching CBC. Morning Joe kind of styles itself that way. If Morning Joe can't get the access and can't get the guests, now that we have Republicans controlling everything from Capitol Hill, you know, a Senate, Congress, you know, the administration, and they are frozen out and they don't have the insider stuff. They don't have the leaks because, you know, Trump world's not leaking so much anymore. What show do you have? What show do you have? Then you just become basically opposition. As you said, Paul, you become team resist and you're just screaming at the moon, metaphorically speaking, right? I mean, and you can't, I mean, not only have you lost your audience, but I mean, you may keep a show like Morning Joe on with no audience if it's important. If it becomes basically something that's not important, my wife's coming in here delivering some soup. Dr. Salma, she's amazing, unbelievable, great soup. She's great, my wife. She's great. You know, you can't keep her. You can't keep that show on. Okay, so and the whole thing is you don't want to go out like a punk. If you know, it's one, you can be the court jester if you're performing for the king. If you're the court jester on the streets, you're just a clown and maybe a homeless clown. Does that make sense, Paul?
Yeah, it totally does. And I think we've heard reports that I believe NBC might be getting rid of MSNBC or selling it off, something like this. So maybe most of those shows go bye-bye. So Morning Joe has to think about their own viability as a program. They have to think about their, Mika and Joe's, access into the political world. As you said, Republicans control the White House, the Senate, the House, the Supreme Court, effectively. They control everything. And so, like, as you said, again, for someone like Joe, who is nominally or used to be a Republican, I mean, do you really want to be completely frozen out? I don't think so. And so, as I said, look, it's, you know, you mentioned kayfabe. I mean, kayfabe, for people that don't watch professional wrestling, kayfabe basically means for going along with what the story is. So Hulk Hogan is supposed to be the good guy that trains and eats his vitamins and says his prayers. And so you got to, you know, when he's doing a storyline in the show, he's got to pretend that that's what he does, even if that's not who he is in real life. I'm not saying he's not, but that's the story. So the story here, so to speak, and politically is Mika and Joe don't like Trump. Trump doesn't like them and all that. And I'm not saying that they do like each other, but, you know, maybe they do. Sometimes people actually do get along away from the cameras and away from the shows, but they have to pretend that they don't. Like, for example, in my opinion, President Trump and Chuck Schumer, they're old friends. Now, do they get along great all the time recently? Maybe not. But you saw them at the Al Smith dinner. They seemed like they were getting along pretty good. Why? Because they're old friends. But they don't, you know, they're not, their different respective political teams might not like it if they act like that in public. That's kayfabe. You're acting like the way the story says you're supposed to act. But going back to what I said, one of the things that Mika mentioned in her explanation was that Joe called Trump after Butler. Why? Because he probably was actually concerned about it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
if they did have an old friendship, hey, that's certainly the type of time to reach out and tell somebody like, man, I'm glad you're okay. So look, I am with Spicer. It is true that in a completely objectively fair universe, sure, they're not the first ones coming in for an interview. However, given where they're at on the ideological spectrum and that how Trump has been treated by the left over this period of time, including by them, if you can get somebody on that side to come and listen to you, maybe tell their audience where you're actually coming from rather than a caricature. If you are President Trump, I think it is absolutely in your best interest to at least explore that opportunity. Maybe you pull it back later on if you don't like the way that they're portraying you and the interviews, but give it a chance. And that's the greatness of Trump. After everything that he has been through,
Oh my
they
gosh.
tried to ruin him, jail him, bankrupt him. We know what happened at Butler and the other thing. He still can have the grace to say, okay, let's meet. But that's how great he is. And I know JD Vance has talked about that. Like, yeah, he called me up after the second attempt in Mar-a-Lago. And he's like, it happened again, JD. He's like, what happened again? They tried to do it again. He's like, what? And
So crazy.
but he said, what was so remarkable about that was the next thing he said was, yeah, I was upset because I was about to like putt for birdie and I didn't
Guy
get to
loves to
finish it.
golf.
I mean,
Oh my
that's who
God.
President Trump
Oh
is.
my
He can
gosh.
let this old stuff go and just be in the moment and move forward. That's the genius and the business excellent executive that he has been. That's why he's a multi-billionaire.
He's
That's
amazing.
why he's a president of the United States.
There we go.
Or will be.
Right. President-elect. And so continue with my post here. And again, all my personal opinion only, parody, entertainment purpose only, public figures, etc. Was the last around 4 years an act, or does potentially access matter more than the left's stated principles, i.e. cancel culture on the left, democracy on the ballot, some cheering deplatforming, and your own admission, in my opinion, that you basically didn't talk to Trump save once in many years. If I recall the clip correctly, even though he is a former and future president of America and leader of a political movement with global impact, we're seeing Trump dance all around the world, players. And your show is about politics. That's like me having a show about EVs and not interviewing Elon Musk or covering him fairly, in my opinion, but working for a news channel. Does that make sense? Or I could be wrong about all this. What's your take on the clip? And people reacted to that and had things to say. But I mean, players, I mean, this is a big deal. Like, I don't understand how you can even go with that kind of posture. Now, I don't know if they were disconnected or what was going on, but then you have a situation here with two-way Matt, Mark Halpern's show.
Halpern.
Yeah, sorry. Mark Halpern's show, where you have a clip here, and I haven't seen this clip, so I don't know what we're going to see here, or when it comes up. But basically, at some point here, Spicer is saying that he thinks that all five. Oh, this may be okay. So this might be Halpern talking the whole time. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's okay. Hold on. Here we go.
It's a calculation for people, but it's hard for me because of my interest. I just love, as I've said several times, I just love confirmation politics. I think it's so interesting. It's hard for me to think about anything else about the incoming Trump administration. And as a consumer of all the political media, that's going to.
Okay, great. So basically, at some point here, I mean, I think Spicer's saying that he thinks all five are going to be confirmed. If I can't find it real quick, I don't know. But that's the headline, right? Or maybe that's Halpern. I don't know. So I think it's more likely than all five will be confirmed. Paul, is that Halpern or is that Spicer?
That is Spicer, but I believe Spicer did say that. In fact, he reconfirmed that today, that he thinks they're going to go 5 for 5. Now, just to be clear, the 5 we are talking about are RFK, Tulsi, Hegseth, Gates, and Christie Noem. Those are the 5, because people are thinking those are the most,
controversial. The people on our side are calling the Avengers along with Trump and Elon.
Right. But so Spicer did say that. He said it before. He confirmed it. He confirmed it today. And Halpern, I believe what Halpern said to that on that point was, look, I think if they can get hearings, I think there's a real good chance that they're going to get confirmed. I think that's basically what he said.
Okay, let's see if there's any more here we can glean very quickly. I'm not going to play the whole clip here.
Hey, at covering Trump as an outsider playing by different rules, some good, some bad, and Trump violating rules. That the fact that after yesterday's reaction to Gates, he went forward with RFK.
Right.
No normal president-elect would do that.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Someone,
buddy.
the chief of staff designate, or someone would say to the
Okay, it's just going on too long. But like, let's see if I catch it in the middle here.
up of the status quo, because tens of millions of Americans
want change.
share Donald Trump's belief about these departments and what needs to.
That's what was on the ballot. That's what he ran on. He ran on Doge. He had Elon Musk living in Pennsylvania out there, players. I mean, this is a clear mandate. We have not had a Republican win like this. I can't look through this whole thing, but you can see the headline right here. I think it's more likely all 5 will be confirmed than most people do. Okay. And I'll try to find a quote from Sean Spicer and stuff like that. But I mean, dude, that's what's on the ballot here. So going to Morning Joe and having Morning Joe interview him and taking away you can't talk to this guy, you can't normalize him. How much more normal can you get? You know what I'm saying? And showing aside to those hosts that maybe some might interpret as possibly being sellouts, it demoralized and dispirited the hardcore resist movement, maybe as Scarborough saying, the social media movement on the left, Paul. So it takes away the sting of the stuff. And so he's got 5 nominees that he's putting in there. And I think Trump, having the experience of the first term, is going to be sure, particularly with AG and Justice and FBI and probably the rest of them, that he gets his people in there. And he's not going to take no for an answer. I mean, if we had a Biden administration with Kamala Harris as the VP, breaking ties can go up there and get their nominees in with 50-50. Why can't we do it with 53-54 to 47-46 or whatever it is? So I think that's where we're at. So I think that this has discombobulated and confused and dispirited and demoralized the left and exposed, if you will, the mainstream media and Scarborough and stuff like that, potentially to some criticism. Again, I'm not alleging anything, but some potential criticism of a Mitt Romney type of situation. Mitt Romney after Trump, he was a senator, he did his thing. Mitt Romney after the Trump thing, after Romney said all that bad stuff, and you were secretary, so maybe secretary. Okay, let's meet, let's take a picture. Mitt Romney was never the same again politically, in my opinion. Agree or disagree, Paul?
Yeah, there's no question. And look, I don't think it was Mitt Romney's. I don't think Mitt Romney was the person that wanted to take a picture. I think Mitt Romney was, someone on Trump's side or someone favorable to Trump took the picture. Like, here's Mitt Romney trying to lobby to be Secretary of State, even after everything he said about President Trump. That shows you how transactional politics is and how transactional Mitt Romney is.
And
right, I agree with you. He was never the same after that.
And no diss on Mitt Romney. He's been super successful. He's been a senator on our side, Utah, Harvard MBA, Harvard JD, Bain Capital has done so many things out there. I'm not trying to be a punk. I'm just pointing out the political moves out there. You know what I mean? And listen, there's some people that have, most people on the Republican side, okay, that tried to run for president took L's from Trump. Some took it well, some didn't. So someone to me, Mitt Romney and Chris Christie took it bad, and it didn't work out for them. Someone like Marco Rubio took it great, and it worked out fantastic for him. It took him a beat, stuff like that. I think that DeSantis is getting towards that Marco Rubio zone, and DeSantis is the most successful governor in Florida's history, in my opinion, at least recent times, and stuff like that. And you see, Cruz is kind of in the middle, but more towards the Rubio side, and he's coming along, and Cruz is going to be fine. Okay, and he's doing great. Okay, so which model you have to be, and it's not about Trump personally. It's not about your ego. You have to be able to read the room, check where the weather's going to be. That's politics 101, players. The problem is so much egos in here, and a lot of these people come in here as business titans, and they're so used to saying things and doing things and everything like that and whatever. And people like, oh, Elon, he's used to doing this. I love Elon. Elon's great. And the whole the All In gang and Bill Ackman and Lex and Rogue and this whole like that's my jive, bro. That's my vibe and stuff like that. I mean, there's differences in there, and obviously, but in terms of the thing that's great about Elon is open source, dude, data, like real data. Like, what does it say? You know what I mean? So these people, but a lot of these politicians, a lot of these business leaders, and I'm great for business leaders, but they don't understand that you have to. The only power you have is the power that comes from the people. It's like Gladiator, right? Win the crowd, win your freedom, dude. So I mean, like you have to, same thing with wrestling. You have a storyline. Rock had a storyline. Storyline got changed when Rock and Hogan were in there, and Hogan was kind of playing the crowd a little bit, but Hollywood Hogan, the crowd popped. You got to be able to react to what the audience wants. If you start not giving the audience what they want, that's a problem. Okay. So I think that Trump is very tuned into that. He's always been a great marketer and stuff. And I think that's where they're missing it. And I feel like some of these people felt like maybe Trump was a rube and we can play him and we can work him over and we're the real experts here and stuff. And I don't know. I mean, Chris Christie is going to be the attack dog and Romney was going to be the respectable Republican. Who knows? Like, dude, people just want results. They really don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, so anyway, I think this was a brilliant move. Anything else you have to say in wrapping up here, Paul?
Grant, I agree with you. I think this is an excellent move. I think it is. Trump is making a pivot very quickly to a governing position. How can he best do that? How can he get his message out to as many people as possible, including some of those who watch MSNBC?
Here we go. And this is another thing from Daily Beast. And this is a couple days ago, updated November 19th, 2:34 p.m. by Kelly Goff. Morning Joe making nice with Trump isn't the problem. The backlash is. This is what I'm talking about. Disarray, bro. Disarray. This is perfect. This is perfect. I mean, and the only way that the left can win and stuff like that, and this is what I want to say about Elon and stuff like that. I have so much that I will have that separate show probably tomorrow. Is if there's like total censorship, like when you have that, you can't and you saw it, right? Because you saw like cracks in it, Rogan, UFC, Nelk Brothers, some, even Charlemagne out there, Schultz, you saw some different things out there happening. Twitter, of course, huge. And it changed the game. So this is a center-right country, always has been. If they didn't have if the media wasn't so biased and stuff like that, I mean, we would see, blowout elections. But it's very sad. And they showed some different stats out there. If you consume mainstream media, if that was your source for news, you thought this, aliens were outside, War of the Worlds, that kind of stuff. If you consume other stuff, you got your news from whatever, Twitter, friends, whatever it is, then, it was, you were more in Trump world. So it's just, you want to talk about who's in the real world. You're trying to tell me the set of NBC's, it's the real world. Okay, player, as opposed to the thing that's good about X and a lot of this other stuff is it is open source. It is big data. You are able to connect with people, YouTube, Rumble. Thank you for Rumble. Rumble also a huge part of that. No question about it. I mean, and I think, YouTube and Facebook were better this time too. People talking to people. You can tell me whatever Bureau of, whatever economic statistics. I can't afford eggs. I can't afford bread. I can't afford different things out there. And people respond to that and people understand. People know what's going on in their own lives. So I think this was a brilliant move by Trump. I am bullish on him being able to get his picks in there. Because what's the real, and here's the thing. What is the real, forget about, the nominees are going to stand and fall on their own, all that type of stuff. I'm not here to give a brief on any particular nominee or anything like that. All I'm trying to say is Trump has the mandate and has the political capital and has the purview to nominate who he wants to nominate, period. If there isn't something crazy egregious, they should go through. And guess what? If what I would do if I were Trump is I would have number 2, 3, and 4 picks right behind him that are basically the same. Oh, you don't like Matt Gaetz? Cool. Here's Ken Paxton. Try that on for size. And no, we're not making anything, or we're putting a rhino in, or your person in this position or that position to be a check. We're looking for big time reform. Big time reform. All up and down the agencies. That's what people voted for. There's something to the effect of like, there's all kinds of charts, and I don't bore you with the charts, but there's all kinds, All-In's been doing a good job with this. I mean, a lot of people are doing a good job with the Elon up there, but basically how, debts exploded, interest rates, all, the deficits exploded, and how like basically half the people are getting either through, work for federal, state, local, or contract with, or whatever it is, like the bulk of their income comes from government some way. That's about half the people. And it's just, and as Elon says, that's not an operating system that can survive. And they're looking for a reboot and things and a relook at academia too, and media too. As I said before, but everything I've been saying, players, everything is all, not everything, but I mean, so much. That's why you listen to me and listen to Paul. That's why I'm super genius. It's like I've been so ahead of the game on this. I told people, and some of my people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm talking years ahead of the game here. I said Silicon Valley is going to turn, because this isn't what Silicon Valley is. Silicon Valley is Elon, and so it's like, hey, we're kind of libertarian. We just want to build things. It's a meritocracy. It's not state run. It's countercultural, if you will, or at least it's anti-establishment in that it's disruptive. Like, hey, we think IBM, is doing it wrong, or AMD is doing it wrong, or Intel's, we can do it better, or whatever like that, or maybe not doing it wrong, but we can do it better. There's a gap in the market that, or we don't fit in. I don't fit in a corporation. I'm going to do my own startup. That's what Silicon Valley is. Not like, oh yeah, today I got to put up my Ukraine thing, and tomorrow I got to put up a mask, and then next day I got to, do this, and whatever the cause of the day is, I'm going to do that. And whatever the government tells me, that's not Silicon Valley. And activism is not a technology. It's not working. So I told you that was coming, and nobody believed me, because as Elon said, that I won't say nobody, but like I was out there on the plank by myself, players, for quite a time. Was I not, Paul?
Yeah, you definitely were.
Absolutely. But I knew it. I just knew it, because it just, at some point, it becomes antithetical. So like in Elon's thought, you could be Tesla, you could be the biggest EV, you could be the world's richest man, you could be everything. But the minute you don't toe the line, and I'm not saying it's tied to one other like that, and I'm even going to say anything specifically, but look at Elon, what he said, some of the complaints that he's had, why he's moving out, why he's moved his companies, some of the different things, some of the different complaints that he's had. And, take that with you, right? At some point, it doesn't become, and the Democratic coalition, you can't square the circle. You can't have hyper competitive, world changing, super wealth creating, added value, Silicon Valley startup, that kind of stuff, and total state control, uniparty system. You got to toe the line, or you're going to get canceled like that. Those two things don't go together. They just don't. Right. I mean, while you're going there, towards that leftward shift. And again, I've talked about the political spectrum at the very, very right. Is it pure anarchy and stuff like that? Doesn't work. You need some government, right? You need some laws, some police power, stuff like that. At the very, very left is you have total state control. Call that whatever you want to call it. King, queen, dictator, fascism, socialism, super socialism, communism, whatever like that. The more state control you have, the more leftward you go. So as you're going on there, some companies be like, if they're gonna take care of me, they're gonna be cool with me, they're gonna grandfather us in, they're gonna do whatever. Okay, so I'll go with it for a bit, but at a certain point, it just doesn't work anymore, right? And in some environments, do you think Elon Musk could exist in an operating system? I don't want to name there's a couple states out, there's a couple countries out there, whatever. And I don't think that they'd let Elon Musk do what he did. I mean, you've had situations where some very, very, I don't want to go down that road. I mean, you just look around the world and look at history. You've had some very successful entrepreneurs that got the rug pulled out from underneath them very quickly. When it didn't, when it, I don't know. you know, so anyway, so that's something that's to think about. So I think that's why I'm saying I knew that wasn't compatible. That wasn't going to work. At a certain point, you just have to stand up. And this was like, you know, which operating system do you want to be in? That's why, you know, Elon went all in, and a lot of people on the Trump team and Elon and some others were saying, hey, if we lose, we're going to jail. Was that a saying? I don't know, but I mean, that was being said. Was that right, Paul?
Yeah, that had been said. That is true. Yes.
Okay. And to wind down, as I said before, the other thing is a 50% solution is not a 100% solution. If you're just saying for 50% of your customers or 50% of the country, or in some of these companies that are more rural facing or more, you know, MAGA country facing, stuff like that. If you're not, you know, whether it's Tractor Supply or John Deere or Harley Davidson or Bud Light, if you tell your customers to pound sand, or in the game community, if you don't like it, don't buy it, that is not a good business model. And these people are being crushed. I mean, Jaguar just did a reboot, and people are talking about that. And listen, they needed to do a brand reboot. And I'm a marketing branding expert, stuff like that, communications expert. And you know, I haven't done a full analysis on that. They need to do a reboot, but I don't know that that's the right. I mean, I haven't done a full analysis. I'm going to hold my comments because I haven't done a full analysis, but that's a lot of people are talking about that. And so I think they for sure need to do a reboot, but you know, so we'll talk about that. But here's the thing, in fairness to them, their audience is different. Land Rover, Jaguar, their audience is different than Tractor Supply, Harley Davidson. That's a different customer base. Okay. In fairness to them. So what Benetton and Gucci and these kind of brands can, you know, what marketing, branding, communications they want to execute is different than these other ones. And then what do they just say? One size doesn't fit all. A 50% solution, not 100% solution. Michael Jordan, Republicans buy shoes. So I was saying that for the longest time, and people, you know, and if you don't tell the line, and now all the bills come and due, people are like, wait a minute, we're unbalanced here. And the last thought in that is, you know, the colleges and institutions. Some people say these people, you know, places are getting indoctrinated, and it's too left wing. And a lot of people, Bill Ackman, some others have, you know, Chris Rufo, a lot of people have been speaking out against this. Media Research Center, Charlie Kirk, of course. Benny Johnson, and many others, Vivek. And it's like, look, if you want to be an elite learning institution, educational institution, you need to stay on that mission. That is your number one mission. It's not left wing stuff. It's not asking all these questions to you know, I don't want to allege anything, but I mean, like you know, if you know, just look at some of these applications. And how much is it to do with you know, if you give someone the same credit as volunteering in their local, you know, Baptist or Catholic church or temple or whatever, you know, doesn't matter what your religion is, right? Buddhist, Hindu, I don't care. As you do in the Peace Corps or something else like that, then okay, that's fine. If you say we want volunteer experience, but in other words, you can't have, and let's turn it that way. I'm not alleging anything. You can't have, you can't screen out conservatives. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying you can't screen out conservatives, and you have to focus on the educational stuff. If you don't say that educational excellence is, if that's not your cornerstone, if that's not 90+% of what you're trying to do, it won't be long that you won't be able to call. And if you're trying to to do the activism thing, it won't be long until you're no longer an elite institution or not seen as an elite institution. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing big companies, law firms, companies saying, we're not hiring from our Ivy Leagues. We're not hiring from that. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying I condone that. But what I'm saying, and Jeff Bezos said it, and I said it before. I said 2023 was the year of reality, and 2024 was a revenge of reality. And I did not know how right I was, but I was right. And as Jeff Bezos said in the Washington Post, reality is undefeated. So America and the world have to wake up from this fever dream. And it's almost like we've seen this, and that's what Morning Joe is. That's what that signifies. That the extreme hard resist is no longer tenable, because those, in some ways, were the figurative champions of that. And if you look at what's going on with Justin Trudeau, and I may pull that up as a final here, Paul, as I do that. You know, it's a different deal, dude. It's a different deal, you know, and Trudeau is basically saying like, oh, we're going to change the thing here. In fact, yeah, let's, Here we go. Let's get this. And this is amazing. This is amazing. And I think Paul, there's been a big switch after it's all come full circle after the pandemic and stuff like that. I'm just going to go this for a second. Your quick comments, anything I said, and I'll play Trudeau and we'll close it out.
Yeah, look, I mean, again, coming back to where we started with Morning Joe, and what you're saying right there is, look, we've had a very divided country for a number of years now. And what President Trump wants to do, what Morning Joe is kind of trying to do, even though there's an element of it that, of course, is transactional, as Sean Spicer said, is, look, we all got to talk to each other.
Right.
As you said, a 50% solution is not a 100% solution. So let's kind of all come together here, get the best ideas, get the best talent, and move forward as a nation rather than this divided, factionalized entity.
Absolutely. I want to show a couple of things right here. Before I do that real quick, we're going to go to Trudeau, but we have a couple of things right here. Thomas Sowell, Elon Musk, he was a genius 6 minutes ago, 100% he was. Thomas Sowell, quote, "You will never understand bureaucracies until you understand that for bureaucrats, procedures, everything, and outcomes are nothing." Dude, Thomas Sowell was a legend, dude. I love that dude. That dude was amazing. Okay, so here we go. Justin Trudeau. We see Morning Joe. And then here we go, Justin Trudeau.
Immigration. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk.
In the last 2 years, our population has grown really.
Okay. I can't have the music here. So basically, why can't change the immigration system? Things are changing, buddy. Things are changing. So when Justin Trudeau basically tells you that the party's over, liberals, party's over. It's over. Now, you want to see really the party's over? We have this from Sonny Hosteen, teed up by The View, because they were talking about Gates. They were talking about all that type of stuff. And here we go.
On screen. What about Gates? Sonny, you have a legal note.
I do have a legal note. Thank you.
Sonny, this is a hostage tape right here, potentially. Am I figuratively speaking? Obviously, not alleging anything, not real. This is parody. I'm not Sonny, very well paid, high paid, in my opinion, national host, everything like that. But a legal note, Sonny Hosteen, who, in my opinion, maybe not a biggest Trump fan, maybe not a big Matt Gaetz fan. Here we go. What does she have? The legal note. So the legal team wanted her to read this. What does it say?
Thank you, Whoopi. Matt Gaetz.
You see that? You see that? You see that little thing with the lip there? It's a tough pill to swallow. Let's see that again. Oh. One more time. Wait a minute.
Legal note. Thank you, Whoopi. Matt Gaetz.
Have to gear up. Okay, sorry, that's my last thing, by the way. I gotta go see. Have to gear up for this.
Denied all allegations, calling the claims, quote, invented. And saying in a statement to ABC News that this false smear following a 3-year criminal investigation should be viewed with great skepticism. That DOJ investigation was closed with no charges being brought.
Time out. Dude, first of all, does she seem like she's going to cry there or something like that? Number one. Number two, the DOJ investigated this for 3 years, players. No charges. The ABC lawyers are making her read this on air. It's a legal note, players. Let's continue.
We'll be right back.
That's it. Paul, how big was that?
Yeah, that was huge. And there was a lot of discussion about that yesterday. And, before that, of course, she was just, I guess, discussing some of the supposed allegations, and then has to come back with that. That's more where we're at now. There's going to be more clarifications, more reality-based information. I'm glad that happened. I don't know how it happened, if the producer told her to do it or what happened, but there was a lot of discussion about that yesterday.
Bottom line is things are moving forward. And I'm not saying like, we're going to own the libs and everything's in that. I'm not going to say that Trump's going to get all of his nominees in. He should. What I am saying is it's a new day. The people have spoken. Crazy times are over. The uniparty, one party rule, that's over. So, the people voted for dramatic change. We'll see what they get. There's going to be politics, stuff like that. But we got to move forward. Like, you can't, again, 50% solution is not 100% solution. You can't operate this way and be world class. It just doesn't make any sense. And now when you have Sonny Hosteen reading that, when you have Daily Beast saying that, when you have Justin Trudeau saying that, when you have Morning Joe interviewing Trump, the people that were like screaming, to the world and stuff like that, we're not doing that anymore. Okay. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm bullish on, I think Trump making that move was brilliant, and you've just seen what's happened there. So we'll see what happens. But any final comments you have, Paul? We'll wrap it up.
Yeah, look, I think it was the right move, and it's interesting to see how we go forward. I think there will be some attempts at resist, but I think a lot of people are just ready to move on from all of this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Dude, politics are politics, but I think that we're in a different phase now where people expect something different. And it's like you have different shifts in politics, where things happen, things are different. We had the rise of the bureaucracy and stuff like that. I think we're in a different era now, but we'll see what happens. And I think that's why it's important. I think Trump understands you got to focus on those nominations and get in there and try to, do your policy and be successful at it. But we'll see where it goes from here. So anyway, that's what I want to say. My name's John D. Villarreal for Paul. I am John. Thanks so much for watching. We appreciate everyone. We'll see you next time.